Alright, it's time for Ballad of the Fallen Angels, the episode that is by far the most praised Cowboy Bebop episode and gets tens pretty much across the board, and is an episode that is really known for its ending. That includes a shootout at a cathedral and then an ending flashback sequence where we learn more about Spike's life. It's also the most violent episode we've had until this point. So it starts with Mao Yenrai, who's the capo of the Red Dragon crime syndicate, the group Spike used to be a part of before he left, and Carlos of the White Tiger crime syndicate, and they're meeting together because they're deciding, you know what, it's time for a truce. We've been fighting for all these years, and we want the bloodshed to end. Well, most people, Red Dragon crime syndicate, want the bloodshed to end. And just as they're signing this truce, we get introduced to the main villain of this series, and that's Vicious. And he is, as his name states, vicious. He begins slicing some necks and ending this truce, killing his boss, Mao Yenrai. Then it flashes back to the Bebop where Jet and Spike are getting a bounty for Mao Yenrai. Wow, awesome. 28 million woolongs for this guy who Vicious just killed. So they're not going to be able to find this guy because he's dead. And Cowboy Bebop is an interesting series because most episodes are episodic, but very much like the X-Files before it. There's an overarching storyline, so we'll see Vicious in a couple episodes, but he's not someone who's going to be popping in all the time. And you can watch these episodes out of order and still get most of the story, but of course it's always better, just like the X-Files, to watch them in order, if possible. Since Vicious's killing of Mao Yenrai is going to play him in the later episodes. One thing this series does is really a lot of the main plot is all the way to the back when they do the Real Folk Blues 1 and 2, which is episode 25 and 26. So you get the majority of the main storyline right in the last two episodes. But these stories are so good that I don't think it really brings the series down. This is why so many people are introduced to anime through Cowboy Bebop, because it feels very much like a Western style series, especially from the 90s where things were a lot more episodic. So Faye Valentine strikes out on her own and, like she tends to do, doesn't listen to instructions and goes to this opera and ends up getting kidnapped by Vicious himself. And this plays in very nicely to the tone of this episode. We start with an opera, and it's very high class with its good use of music. And then we end with a cathedral. The two things tying in very well together, both using a lot of music. They show music during the opera, and then of course in the cathedral scene. We get the song Rain, recorded by the Seatbelts, which I actually just learned was specifically recorded for Cowboy Bebop. I thought this was just a song that they licensed, but no, they made this song during the cathedral scene just for this episode, and it fits it perfectly. I like everything about this episode. Oh, it's so perfect. And another song during the flashback sequence, Greenbird, which is also performed by the Seatbelts. No, this is a pretty damn good band. So Spike goes to this cathedral to save Faye Valentine and also to face Vicious, and he's loaded up. We get to see a great shootout scene, harkening back to John Woo, which was very much an inspiration for this series. They don't use a ton of slow-mo, but just the cathedral sequence is similar to the one in The Killer. And this time he doesn't just have guns. He has grenades. He has shotguns. His pistols. He's loaded up.
Why?
They also do a thing there in this cathedral where Spike's shooting at the bad guys and finally getting to Vicious, where they cut back to Jet to break up the action. When I first saw this, I actually didn't like it. They cut back to Jet doing the most boring thing ever, cutting this small little tree. And it's like right at the point that you don't want it to cut to anything boring. But this is something they use in cinema and TV shows. They'll break up the action with really slow parts. Luckily, this one's quite brief. It's just that they call Jet. That's it. But when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, why are we watching him cut a tree? Go back to the cool part where they're doing the shootout. And we get the first confrontation between our hero, Spike Spiegel, and Vicious.
Then why are you still alive?
And this sequence really is amazing. It's what everybody remembers from Ballad of the Fallen Angels. There's parts of this episode that aren't a 10. I am going to give this episode a 10. But there's some parts that are a little slower. But this sequence alone is the best thing we've seen in the series so far. And I think the best couple minutes of the series we will ever see. Pure Out La Flou is my favorite episode. This is my second favorite episode. But not only the music, but the storytelling that they do here during this sequence where he's falling from the roof of the cathedral. And don't worry, he lives. Somehow. Is doing exactly what cinema should do, which is not telling you, but showing you. You see that he used to work with Vicious, and we know that Vicious is part of the Red Dragon crime syndicate, so it makes sense that probably Spike was part of the Red Dragon syndicate. There's also a part where he goes and visits one of his old associates in this episode. And we see flashbacks to this girl named Julia, who Spike was in love with. So is that the reason that he left this syndicate? Was it for a girl? Was it because he wanted to do something else? Was it because he had a breakup with Vicious? Did he change his mind? All these questions are left up in the air to this point, but you can kind of gist that he doesn't want to be a criminal anymore and is much happier being a bounty hunter, where he catches the bad guys. So Ballad of Fallen Angels is an easy 10. The first 10 I've given, but I saw this series when it premiered on Adult Swim. I even had videotapes of it, literal VHS tapes, in high school of it, and I still love it to this day. I've watched this sequence probably 20 times throughout my life, and I never get tired of it, and I think I'm going to go watch it again, and you should also. You can stream this entire series on Hulu, and you should. So let's look at some reviews. 10 out of 10, okay, alright, 10 out of 10, a film noir told in under half an hour. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, my favorite episode. 10 out of 10, one of the best episodes ever to come out with from any anime. 10 out of 10, does it get any better than this? Not really. 10 out of 10, quite possibly one of the greatest episodes of anything. Yes, with the hauntingly beautiful bluebird playing in the background, an amazing shot. Work and animation, everything about this episode, in particular this scene, is as close to perfection as you get. Of course, 10 out of 10. Okay, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Are we gonna go for a sweep? Oh, not a full sweep. 9 out of 10. Next up is episode 6, Sympathy for the Devil. Of course, named after the Rolling Stones song. And this one takes on a Twilight Zone where we get a new villain, at least for this episode. A child with psychic powers. Check out our playlist for all episodes of Cowboy Bebop. We're going to do all 26. We also cover the series Black Mirror, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Tales from the Dark Side, Pet Shop of Horrors, Monsters, and Fear Itself. Thanks a lot.